Awesome. Hey, everyone, I'm Tiffany, and I'm so excited that Leisha is going to teach us about the Rave New Year. So you might have seen some of our posts in Wise Sky's social media, but the idea is that the energy hasn't really shifted yet. So if you're facing the new year and you're still in reflection mode, this is very normal with the mechanics of what's going on in the Maya. So without further ado, I'm going to say welcome new members, welcome new members, welcome old members. We're so thankful for this opportunity to talk about human design. Leisha sent me an article the other day that what was the source? It was like New York Times or something cool.
Oh, Washington Post yesterday.
Yeah, Washington Post, like human design is the thing to do, the thing to know about.
2023.
Yeah. For 2023, yeah. Your audio is a little whack.
Oh, mine?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
It's a little alien style. That's better. Maybe just stay back.
Testing.
It's a little whack, but do you have headphones?
Is this better? I do. I can take them out, but I always feel not confident about that. Okay, yes. Try it.
Let's try it. Try again. Not at all. Leave it to me to mess it up, guys. Hey, Beth, welcome in. We're just getting started, and yeah, okay. We're excited to learn from Leisha. I'm gonna spotlight you so that it looks better for everybody watching later, so they're not watching a big grid. And we're excited to learn. So thanks, Leash.
You're welcome. Hello, everyone. Excited to talk about this because it helps me to remember and focus in on what the energy is what the cycle is doing for the end of 2023. I mean, the end of 2022 calendar year, and that's what we'll talk about. So do I sound okay, Tiff? It sounds weird in my head now, so I'm not sure if my microphone. Okay.
Let's just roll with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I am going to share my screen in a little bit because I want to show you kind of how how the mechanics move along the wheel, as we call it in human design. So of course, we definitely invite you to get your body graph at mybodygraph.com. There's a page on Wise Skies that's human design page, and we can, we'll have all of that linked in the replay, I'm sure. So the thing, as Tiffany was saying, is that January 1st is actually just merely the beginning of the calendar year, the Gregorian calendar year. It is actually not the beginning of the cycle of the solar cycle that repeats every year. That is still completing for another around 3 weeks until, around 3 weeks into January every year. So that's why there's this this energy that can feel off about, New Year's resolutions and starting this new thing on January 1st, because actually we're still in this 3-week end of this cycle. And I'm going to show you how it goes, and we'll talk about it in detail, that the whole planetary cycle is completing. So it's not a time to launch a new thing. It's not a time to start a new habit or a new you or, any of that. It's actually merely the calendar year. So that's a whole, that the last few years since learning this with human design, I've really watched it and seen, and you can really feel that that energy once you're aware of it, right? So let's kind of talk about, what that looks like. Basically, on New Year's Day, January 1st on the calendar year, it's actually quite a contentious, tense energy that's still in the vibes of the planet, because of where the gates are in human design. So I want to show you, actually, I'll talk through this a minute, and then in a minute I'm going to show you on the wheel how it goes, so you can see the different gates that the sun and earth are moving through at the end of the solar year, which again does not end December 31st every year. It ends three weeks-ish into January. This year, it's January 22nd at 1:38 a.m. Central Time. That's when the sun shifts into the beginning, the beginning gate for the next solar cycle. So at the end of, on New Year's Eve, basically, or on New Year's Day, January 1st, there's this very contentious energy. The sun and earth are actually always in gate 38, which is the gate of the fighter. It's opposition. And the earth is always in gate 39, which is provocation, being provoked, and opposition. So I'm sorry, obstruction. 39 is obstruction and provocation. So there's this kind of turmoil sort of feeling that is just naturally in the planet. Now, each of us are going to be affected differently in a way, from the transits, from those transits, because of depending on our own design. However, that is the theme that humanity is experiencing. So these different gates happen, and you can follow our social media posts and things like that, especially beginning in January on Wise Skies. We'll have, when the sun moves into a different gate, you can start to watch those themes. It moves around every 7 days or so. So again, so at the beginning of the calendar year on January 1st, the sun and earth are always in opposition and obstruction. Okay. Straight up, that's what we're beginning our new year with. However, if we're aware of this, we can be like, cool, January 1st, now I'm going to reflect for 3 weeks before I expect to launch any new thing in myself, in the world, in a relationship, in a project. In fact, Camden, when you were saying you were moving, I was like, ooh, so you were probably with that obstruction and provocation, and kind of provoking sort of energy that was in the planet. So I'm not surprised that it could be a little struggly. In fact, gate 38, which is the gate of the fighter, opposition, is part of the channel of struggle. So and then gate 39 is the provocation or obstruction. And that is part of the channel of emoting, which is this very, it's a very mutative kind of individual sort of emotional experience. So it's almost like this turmoil on January 1st is present in the planet, for the whole planet, for all of humanity, that leads to struggling or emoting. So there we go, right there. That's kind of a big, shift in thinking about our new year. Shelley says, so it's okay to take my Christmas tree down later. Yeah, filling the sludge. Totally. Yep, 100%. You can wait till January 22nd if you want, or the day before, I suppose. Okay, so it's best, again, we don't want to launch a new cycle during that. It's best to be a time of reflection to see how the past year unfolded. Now we can start to say, oh, these are my intentions that I want to draw in. These are my, things that I want to be more aware of in 2023. These are what I want to bring more of into my life, or into myself, into my being. This is, all of that. However, watch it for 3 weeks and don't let your mind start jumping in. Well, it's January 1st. I need to push myself and force, because you're going to be working against the energy of the planetary cycle. No, thank you. Okay. So it's best to be the time to see how the past year unfolded and kind of start to think about what's coming, but it's more of like, let that cycle complete, don't try to start a new one. And really it's about reflecting without judgment so we can see clearly what we've lived through, okay, in the past year. So I'm gonna share my screen to show you where you can, would you mind letting me do that, Tiff, giving me that feature when you can? Let me try. Okay, so this is my body graph right here. And I just want to show you because it's, we've seen this in other human design. If you're looking at human design, you've seen your body graph, you've seen all these different things, you've seen the different gates. You see here, this is gate 38, this is gate 39. This is where the sun and earth are at on January 1st. Okay, but I want to show you the Rave mandala because that's how we can see how these gates are moving and how the transits move. So again, when you see our posts on Wise Skies, it'll say, oh, the sun is in, gate 38, the gate of the fighter, and it'll give kind of a gist of like, these are the dates that it's in. And then, you'll see here's the gate of the fighter. Okay, so that's where we are. The next gate right now, right now, I believe at 12 something Central Time, it was switching to gate 54. So for the next 7 days. So again, we should have a post soon about that. Gate 54 is about ambition and drive for material success. So we're moving out of gate of the fighter and opposition into the gate of ambition and drive. Okay, so you'll see, so this is how they go. It's like gate 38, it's going to go for 7 days, from the beginning, from January 1st until now, it's been gate 38. Now we're moving into gate 54. So we have these several gates to go until the beginning of the next actual planetary year, which is gate 41. Okay, so that's the order that it goes in. So you can actually go on your My Body Graph. You can go, here's your body graph. You can go to the Rave mandala and look at that. Okay, and see the order if you're curious, right? So this is how it's moving. And then you can see this would be where the sun is. Opposite the wheel is where the earth is, 39. So this is the way that the earth is moving for the next few, for the next few gates and the next few frequencies. This is the way the sun is moving. Okay, so I just want to explain the mechanics of that on the wheel and how that looks. So when we begin, as we said, we're in the gate of the fighter and provocation, and this is like stubbornness and struggle and emoting. That's January 1st. This is part of the cross of tension. So there is this planetary tension, and these are also the gates of deafness, meaning I can't hear you. I'm stubborn. I'm fighting. I'm going. I'm provoking. Can't really hear that. So just to note, that's kind of the mechanical thing. As we said, next is gate 54. Let me take that distraction off. Gate 54. So this is the cycle. These are the few gates that we're going to move through still until January 22nd. On January 22nd this year, sometimes it's the 21st, the 23rd, it's around that time. When the sun goes into gate 41, that's the initiating codon for a new cycle. It's like genetic wise too, like in our genes and our DNA, as well as in the cosmos. Like that's what human design, the beauty, it's like micro to macro, it's all of it. It's like DNA amino acids all the way to planetary programs of the cosmos. Like that's what I love about it. It answers every question for me, in my experience. So 41, this is where the new year starts. Meanwhile, we celebrate the new year over here. Doesn't make sense when you see it when you start to see it mechanically on here. So I just want to walk through these few gates and then we'll kind of, talk about like the new year. Anything to add before I keep going, Tiff? I don't want to just, or anyone else?
You're doing great. I love this. Because I think that visually seeing it, the question that comes to my mind as an astrologer, right? Like are the dates going to, can I write on my mandala on gate 10 that it's December 4th through 29th every year, or do the dates shift?
They're going to shift a little bit, but generally they're going to be within a few days because, we start out with the 41 and that's January 22nd through like 29th. I'm just assuming because it's 6 to 7 days. It's not an exact 24-hour thing. So this is going to be, January 6th through, January 22nd through 29-ish, right? This is going to be the 29th through February 7th or whatever, 6th, 5th, or whatever it is, I'm guessing. So yes, it goes around. However, it goes around like, I believe a few times per year. But every time in December, there's gate 26. Every time in December, we go through this process. In fact, Christmas is usually, if you celebrate or winter solstice or any of that, it's usually it's the gate of self-love and self-behavior and direction, and the gate of vitality and joy is around Christmas. So this makes sense, right? Right.
Mm-hmm.
So every year it is going to be those same-ish. It's going to be the same order and the same 6 to 7 days all the way around. In fact,
not
64.
us, but we're talking just about the sun, and just so there are other planets that are doing the same walk through the mandala.
We're talking about the sun and earth a little bit today, but mainly the sun is what is, the primary force on the planet, because we obviously, are mostly impacted by the sun. It's like 70% of the theme that all humanity will be experiencing. Yeah. So exactly. So and it's the personality sun side. Like, if you look at your body graph, it's this one here. So this is 70% of your expression and what you're aware of. So the sun, when the sun is in these different gates, yes, that's what we're talking about. However, I'm mentioning, like when I mentioned the 38, that's where the sun is just until about a few minutes ago. Now the sun is in 54, the earth is in 53. The earth was in 39, so it's the opposite. So the sun and the earth, so just for reference, I know it can get a little,
I like it.
a little detailed, but yeah. Okay. So to kind of walk through this, from now until January 22nd, we're now in the gate of drive and ambition, and the earth is in 53. So what this looks like is looking to see what we can do in this next cycle, looking to move up the economical and material ladder, and how can we do that? And it's this reflective process. This is the gate of beginnings. It's this reflective process to start a new cycle, but we're not starting it yet. It's like, okay, reflecting on everything that happens so that I can start a new cycle January 22nd. We want to say it like that. Then we're going into 61. Now you can see 61 is here in the head center. It's the inner truth, mystery, the gate of inner truth and mystery, and this pressure to figure out, like, the inner truth of this process that we just went through in 2022 in your own life, or collectively, or tribally. So it's all of that. And it's wanting facts. 62 is the gate of details and facts and things, and backing it up with kind of the details to support the opinions. So I'm just mentioning this other side of it as so that we can kind of get the general vibe of what we're all going to be. We have to pass through this. These are the themes, all of humanity, together and individually, and as families or small communities, will all have to pass through. So right now you may notice you're thinking about like money, or how can you, redo your finances in the next year, or you're trying to lay out the budget or whatever. But again, this is, we're still in this kind of reflective period, but just knowing that that's the theme we have to move through. So this is this mental pressure and wanting facts to back it up, and wanting to know inner truth. Everyone will be, and you can see it in the news. You can see it in, in global events, local events. You can see it in your own life if you start to be aware of it and watch. Okay, so it's a chance to see the facts and accounting of the past year and see the inner truth of this past process. That's kind of 61. Then we're moving into 60, just before, the Rave New Year starts, the last gate of the year. 60 is the gate of acceptance and limitation. It's like accepting the limitations. We all have limitations. Life has limitations. We are not limitless. We're not. We are all limited by death. We're all dying. Hate to break it to you, every human. We are limited inherently. We will all die. That is our limit. Now, there's a lot of applications of that. I mean, I can look at my body graph and say, oh, yeah, there are limitations. I'm not supposed to work all the time and, and just like grind. I'm not. That is my limitation. Now, once I know my limitation, I can accept it. The gate of acceptance of limitations. I can accept it and I can transcend the limitation, because I don't need to be any of the things that I'm not. So I love that concept in human design alone. Just like we have limitations, and that's okay. There's a lot of, language out there. We're limitless. No, we're not. We're limited. And when we can embrace that, we can accept that, we can transcend it and become who we really truly are inside. So this limitation is, and the other side of that, the earth will be in 56, which is stimulation. So what that looks like is this pressure to mutate. This is part of the channel of mutation. This pressure to mutate and bring something new into the world, something completely new. That's part of this gate 60. Using past experience and limitation to move forward, accepting that the process has come to an end. So imagine if you don't know that, and you're January 1st trying to have a new process, and then you're over here getting like, no, you need to accept that that's at the end. And you're like, I was trying to work out every day, and or whatever, New Year's resolution type of vibe was going on. So, so there's still limitation coming. We may be blocked by a limitation. We may be, find that we can't start something new. There's something blocking that, and it's literally just the theme of the planet. And then we go into gate 41 on January 22nd. That is the mark of the Rave New Year. Okay, so this is called a Rave mandala. Rave is a common term in human design, meaning it's like the it's kind of like the way that it's a term for a lot of different things, but it's like the future, it's where we're going. It's also, you know, this awareness, this nine-centeredness, that's like a rave, right? So we have this rave awareness, and we're moving toward this rave thing. So that's just the usage of rave in human design. And of course, we've said before, human design kind of has its own language, that words don't always mean what we would normally think of those words. So this is the beginning of the Rave New Year with 41. This is the starting codon genetically, as well as like in the DNA sequencing of how humans develop, which is a whole topic in human design of how that works, as well as, you know, for the planetary cycle every year and a lot of other applications. So this is this physical pressure for something new to happen, a adrenalized desire and fantasy for new emotional experiences, using, and then, sorry, 41 is with the gate of influence, which is where the earth is. So it's kind of like this impulse to start something new, and like leading and influencing that, or being influenced by something new, or wanting to influence the start of something new. And that's when you would want to start something new. It's January 22nd, right? Because that's the energy of the planet, is that you're not pushing against something that is not what, you know, what the planetary energies are doing.
It's really
Now,
problematic if you're trying to sell a workbook. If you're trying to sell an astrology workbook before the shift. So I'm just saying.
You're like speaking from personal experience over here.
Because people want it, but then it's like there's no energy behind it. And it's, you know, anyways, my calendar sales for the astrology stuff, well, January is just as good or better than December. And I think this helps us explain some of that.
It's so funny too, because I have the, you know, your book that you did, your journal, your astrology journal, which I love. And but I've had it, and I've flipped through it, and I've all that stuff. However, I find that I can't like write in it. Like I keep putting it where I need to go and write in it, but I keep not doing it. And I feel like probably January 22nd, I'm going to whip that out and like have, you know,
all kinds of, right?
Yes, like, because I already have been looking at it and reflecting on it, which you can hear in these different gates that we're talking through. I already know almost what I want to write and what, but it's like I physically am not like able to do it. So it's just kind of interesting to look at. And there are a lot of programs that launch January 1st, but when I see those, I find that I'm like, oh, I can't, for some reason, I can't quite push, like, do it. You know what I mean? So this kind of allows me to see why. Now, this is just the sun and earth, as we've said. The planets are all, I mean, let me just show you this view. If you go to, this is a feature that I paid for, but for example, I can look at the just now connection. Now that's going to give me where all of the planets are right now. And I just want to show you that. So this is where everything is right now. Look, 54.1, we just went in at 12:01 today. And it's through Wednesday, which is, I think, the 11th, 12:32 a.m. The gate of drive and ambition down here in the root center. So you can look at your, this is my chart. These are my activations in my body graph. And then this is where all the planets are right now. This is just the sun and earth we're talking about. So, you know, it's really interesting to start to look at, wow, I am really lit up with 5 additional centers defined that I normally don't have. So how do I feel in that? How do I let that, you know, make my decisions? Do I let my mind run away with, I got all this energy right now. I know my direction. I know, you know, I can stand up to this. I have the willpower, and like, I can, I can go right into this confrontation and have no problem with this, and very passionate, and I can handle this stress and pressure and all that. It's like, yes, you may have those energies. However, I still need to be invited. I'm a projector. I still need to operate correctly with strategy and authority. That's how I will navigate anything. But it's noticing, this is like, as we say, like, this is the weather, you know, like, oh, how do I feel when it's raining? How do I feel when it's sunny? How do I feel when it's cold, when it's hot? That's what this is showing. But I just wanted to illustrate that this is all the planets are in a different gate. And in human design, we have the sun and the earth, and we have the nodes that are, sort of the earth and the nodes are obviously sort of a nuanced human design thing. So, okay, so I just want to show that. Let me get back to what we're looking at here. Okay, so as we said, the new energy, the new cycle, this is called, begins January 22nd with this gate 41, line 1 coming in, the sun moving into that gate. That is called decrease, the gate of contraction. So that's like, if you think about it, it's almost like it's at the smallest point of like, okay, we've reflected and all the things and the limitations, and now we're ready to launch something new. So it's almost like the smallest point of like where things are all kind of contracted and ready to launch out. Like that's the gate 41, so that makes sense to me when I kind of think of it that way, right? So, okay. So now, that's kind of the Rave New Year concept. And I have some other sort of like transits throughout the year just to kind of like tie that together, the human design transits and how you can sort of look at those is when we hit that January 22nd, then as we said, the sun moves into the next gate around every 6 to 7 days. And so we'll move through these. So there's these different themes that are going to come up with that. Now that's a whole other subject, that we do the posts of the sun, where the sun is in the gate. So you can start to observe that, or you can get my body graph and do a combo chart if you want and start to watch when it's your time, right? Like there's so much to look at with human design. So there's strategy and authority is the number one thing, but we can see these themes that are going to start to unfold over the next 4 months. Now, a minute ago, I said it moves around several times. It moves around the wheel 1 time per year. So actually what you were saying, Tiff, is true. Every time we have, Christmas, it's gate 41. I mean, it's December 25th is gate 58 always. So
it makes sense because the zodiac that is imprinted in there, like
exactly.
You're hovering
Yes.
over Capricorn time, or now you're in Sag time, and then
yes.
And guys, just to add, this January 22nd is interesting in the astrology because Uranus will go direct. So Uranus has been retrograde in Taurus, and it's the energy always slows down when an outer planet is going direct or retrograde. And so Uranus is very Einstein, quick hits, lots of inventive, futuristic energy, and Taurus is the opposite. It's very conservative, grounded, stubborn. You mentioned, in one of the gates. And so I feel like it's the Chinese New Year, I believe. We have a new moon at 1 degree of Aquarius the day before, the afternoon before, on the 21st. And a lot of astrologers are very excited about this new moon in particular. So on the astrology side, they're like, oh, it's because the new moon is in Aquarius. And I'm like, or is it, astrologer? I think it's a both and. It's kind of an interesting, timing. So I just wanted to contribute a little to that.
I love that. And you have the gate of contribution, so that makes sense. Okay. And when we move into the new year, it is the cross of the unexpected. So what that means is when we're able to stop letting our minds run our lives, which is what all of human design is saying, is that we have evolved past our minds strategically, manipulating our environment to conquer resources and ensure survival. We've moved beyond that. We have evolved past that. We are now 9-centered beings. We are not 7-centered linear, like the chakra system going linear all to the mind. No, we're 9 centers. We can see that here. It's ping ponging all around. It's not linear. We are here for awareness, not for survival. So that's number one. Second, on top of that, when we stop letting our minds run our lives, which is what happens when you start to get into the human design experiment, you follow your strategy and authority, over time, there's layers revealed to you that unfold. I mean, forever, I feel like for the rest of my life, it will unfold layer by layer of where my mind is trying to run things from these open centers and these open gates that are, and our sleep chart and all these different aspects where the mind is trying to run the life. The mind doesn't know. The mind can measure anything and make it justify anything. It's like, you should go over there and do that thing, and it doesn't work out. And you're like, and then the mind can be like, well, we tried, okay, this thing. I mean, it'll just justify anything. It can literally go to either side. It's a measuring device. It's here to measure. It's not here to make our decisions, which is a real trip to sort of unwind and come out of. But when we can stop letting our minds run our lives, this cross of the unexpected, then we can something we've never lived before is then possible. Now, if we're still like, nah, I'm gonna initiate, I don't know my strategy and authority. not even looking at that. I'm just gonna keep going. Then we may miss what could unexpectedly come to us, because we're conditioning. We're living the homogenized mind life, and so when our minds are controlling, yeah, we can miss the new, because our mind just repeats the old patterns of behavior, whatever not self-conditioning we have, whatever traumas we've had, whatever childhood things, whatever ancestral things, generational things that we have not unwound yet, keep repeating. So you're just going to miss something unexpected. So that's an interesting thing. It's like, okay, can I relax into my strategy and authority? Can I relax into passenger consciousness? And can I see what unexpected new thing that I've never experienced before could come to me? Okay.
So in the chat, Camden, I know that you just brought up, Alicia, how like you could see that in the connection chart that there's different areas that are lit up for you that aren't normally. So you have a lot of definitions going on right now that you don't normally get to experience. And would you just like re-describe that, or say it in another way? Like, what are the opportunities that we might have? So this is going to be an individual question. Do you have Camden's chart? I don't know that you do, but just
Camden,
go with yours.
I'm not sure if I do. I almost want to say yes, but I'm not sure. I know that I've seen you on here before, but I'm not sure if I have yours. I think you're manifesting.
And show her the now transits. What's the
just the now, or are you talking about the one with
the now
like
on
the
top
combo?
of you?
Okay, yeah. So sorry, it's doing there. I think that's nope. That's just today by itself. No, it's not. Yeah, it is. That's just today by itself. Now, sometimes whole channels will be lit up. So that means everybody is experiencing that channel collectively, like the gate of crisis right now. Everyone in the world is experiencing for a long time. It's like a 3-year transit or something. But let me just hold on. Let me go back. I think I have to select it and then do it again.
Sorry.
No, that's good. I love talking about this. So, okay, again, just to know what we're looking at. This is all the activations of my body graph, my chart, right? That we saw just a minute ago with only 2 centers defined, right? This is what all of the planets with the gates are in right now. So, so everybody has this gate of drive. They call it the marrying maiden, which is a whole reason that it's the I Ching. And anyway, it's a whole reason they call it that, but it's this ambition for material, on the material plane, to succeed on the material plane. Because I normally have gate 32. I have 32 all the time in my birth chart. It's right here on my design side. However, I don't usually have the 54. So that right now is creating a channel and defining my route. So what it comes down to, no matter what, is you always follow your strategy and authority. Sometimes there'll be things on social media or in kind of the pop HD world, which is kind of it's like a watered down, like sugar coated, not accurate version of human design. Like, use human design to manifest stop. Okay, stop. It just, in that world, you'll often see, well, take advantage of that, sacral definition you have right now and just go, go, go. And it's like, well, no, what it is you watch who you are and how it affects you, and you just see, right? And I may feel more pressure to do a bunch of stuff and be like, oh, but if I'm already in my strategy and authority, then I'm not gonna let that carry me away as if it's my energy. So this is just, the point of this is just to say, I'm sorry, I hate that it keeps popping up things because it's distracting, but this is just to say that you have your imprinting, that is who you are all the time. And then sometimes it's raining. Sometimes it's raining, drive and ambition. Sometimes it's raining, start a new thing. You may feel this energy to start a new thing. Sometimes it's shining, this need for answers and to churn things over and over and over in your mind. to get to the answer, right? Sometimes so this is all weather. However, you'll really start to notice how it feels, when you have something that you normally don't have. But if you can sink back, surrender, relax into your strategy and authority, see that your mind is trying to, like, for example, my mind right now might be like, the direction you need to take. Come on, just do it. You know who you are. You can do all this work. Take on all that extra work. Just, you can handle the stress. Just keep going. Just add more stuff. And my mind will be trying to, will be probably affected by the transits. But if I'm like, I have an open route. I don't need to rush for nothing, nowhere, nobody ever. Not going to be in a hurry. Then it's really more about watching the weather and bringing an umbrella. Like, okay, I'm going to be aware. I might be feel more pressure and adrenaline and whatever. Let me grab my adrenaline umbrella, and just not do that. So that's where the experimentation comes in. Yeah.
Well, and in a way, it's where the conditioning happens,
In a way, what'd you say? Yeah, that's where the conditioning happens.
Yeah. Right. Like
100%.
So like this morning I woke up, I could hear cars, I could hear the traffic, and I was like, oh, the day started, better go, gotta do something. And I'm like, no, I'm totally fine. My first call's at 10. I'm gonna finish watching True Detectives.
And you have an open route, so that you're not meant to operate that way.
I can,
and
very
you have
clearly,
you have it defined right now too, because you have the 54, same as me.
Yeah.
So that's your extra center that you have defined.
And it's not my favorite. The
root, the root's a tough one because it's the adrenalized thing when and this is the same with the last, like, Human Design Lounge, which I love that name, that we did in December. We talked about partnership connection, and this is the same thing. If, say, this is Tiffany, there'll be exactly these numbers over here for, say it's me, say it's me and Tiffany connection, and now I, activate all these centers for her. Still, we can like understand, oh, I'm getting this new awareness because there's these transits, and so different parts of me can move through and connect that normally I can't connect. So maybe I can digest and be aware of different things that I wouldn't normally have. However, I know that's not me consistently. So I'm not letting my mind take action from that. I'm not letting my mind trick me into taking action into the world from that place. I'm going to still sit back and just let that new awareness come in with this person, with this transit, and then just still follow my strategy and authority. And that's really that's like the core of everything. Today's a first line day, which is the investigator, which is, you see this point 1, which is researching, wanting a solid foundation. What's the core thing? The core thing is strategy and authority. So if we always go back to our strategy and authority, that's what allows us to relax into our life and have this passenger consciousness through all the weather, through all the other people, through all the connections and pets and everybody connecting us up with different things. Were you going to say something, Tiff? I don't know if I jumped over you there.
No, not at all. I think that's I think that answers her question and is very insightful for all of us. And so, as we're kind of relaxing and taking the pressure off and realizing that maybe January 22nd, the energy will feel a little bit different. Is there anything else that you're seeing that we should be aware
of? I think like the general thing is what do we do with this? And I think we've kind of alluded to that. But to me, it's just using this time. I mean, every year, right? This is every year, January 1st through around the 21st, 22nd, 23rd. It lands on a different, one of those 3 days usually. And just use it as a time for reflection. Like maybe we get out those astrology journals and we have, on some of the note pages, we talk about 2022. What can I see? What were my limitations? What inner truth did I learn? What, financial, material lessons did I see, and kind of use it as a reflection and even a looking forward, however, not taking action into expecting any, like launching anything. And again, just kind of, being open to the unexpected and following strategy and authority. I think that's kind of the, that's going to be always the core. So I don't know if that, do
Yeah.
you see anything to add to that, or, yeah.
No, I think that that's really useful. Um, does do we have time for questions? Do you guys want to discuss your personal questions with HD, and or with the switch into the gate 41? You know, you were talking about the line 1 day, so there's 6 lines, right? And so do you want to share a little bit, like a line 1 day would be investigative and
Yeah.
researching, a line 2 would be, go ahead.
Yeah, I have some notes on this that I didn't pull up, but generally, so you see each gate has these 6 lines, and that's from the I Ching. There's 6, it goes with the profile lines. It's like, it's the hexagram. It's the I Ching hexagram, which is what these each are. And you can see that, there's 6. So each of these is, around a day, but it's a little more than a day, and that's why each is not 6 days. It's 7 days, or it's between 6 and 7 days. However, so for example, we're in 54.1 right now. So that means we're right here. The sun is right here. And a first line day, generally the first line, anything first line, is about introspection. It's about investigation, researching, finding the core thing, wanting a solid foundation, kind of digging into things. There can be an insecurity as well because you want the solid foundation. So it's a good day to kind of introspect or do some digging into some things that you're reflecting on or that you're looking forward to in the new year, the real new year. The line 2 is called the hermit, but it's also the natural. It's like you may find that you naturally are, succeeding at things. You have this talent to just do things differently on a second line day. It's a good day for kind of hermiting and being alone at home, or not even alone, just, being home and kind of doing your thing in the home. The hermit is like this whole thing of like, they're talented, but they need to be called out from the hermiting mode to kind of to use their talents. So that's kind of the theme of that. The third line is the martyr, is what, again, human design language, not always like pleasing to the mind, but the martyr is the third line day. And that's about like, give it a try, just experiment, go out there and just throw it against the wall and see what sticks, mess around and find out, as we say. And the point is, you may fall. You may feel like you made a mistake. There are no mistakes though, however, because how else would we discover a keyword to the third line experience? So that can be a day to try something new, just not worry so much about stuff, just kind of throw it out there without as much, thought, or you've already gathered the details, you've already hermited and like looked at the talent of it and figured it out. Now just go try it, it's about bonds made and broken. It could be a day to meet up with a friend, or it could be a day to say, hey, I need a break today from you, So that's kind of the general third line. Fourth line day is, fourth line is called the opportunist. So that is about the network, about friends, about, opportunities coming from people we know, or people that know the people we know, it can kind of be this type of thing. It can be a great day for sharing something with your network, or gathering, or just kind of investing in relationships, that kind of thing. The fifth line day is fifth line is called the heretic, and that is about practical solutions, kind of externalizing practical solutions, universalizing things that are universally practical. You'll often hear Tiffany say, like during the Tarot Fridays, it's always like practical advice for Sagittarius, or practical, and that's because Tiffany is a fifth line. That's literally, she's speaking her design. She wants to offer practical advice because she needs to externalize and universalize what is practical, but it's also a projection field. It's also, can be this kind of seductive sort of energy. So it can be a good day to, kind of find what's practical, or go out and kind of look around and see what, maybe shop or whatever, and see what you want to do with your living room, or things like that, because it's like this projection, seductive, practical kind of energy. And then the 6-line day, which is the last one, is called the role model. This is the one that has the 3 phases. On a 6-line day, it's kind of like, my son is a 6-line, and his teacher the other day said, he's such a good example to all the other kids in the class. And I'm like, oh my God, like, you see him, because he's a role model. I mean, he's 6, but you can already start to see that. So it could be about, like seeing who's a good example in your life, or kind of this, it's like this aloof perspective where you're kind of like, let me be objective and kind of look around here and see what, see what is the greatest example of what I'm looking for, that kind of thing. And it's kind of this next level realization and observing. So that's kind of the 6th line. So right now we're in 54.1 for a day, I think. It's around a day. Let me look at how long that.
So we'll get to experience each of those different flavors with every chapter, with every, which I find cool.
Yeah.
But I can also like really overthink it. So I also have to just be like, doesn't matter what line day it is. I'm,
100%. Yeah. I tend to more look at I notice the line day, but I tend to more look at the gate. I'm still in the, like, let me look at where the sun is, because and what is it activating in me, and what do I feel, and just walk, one, in fact, on the Human Design Collective podcast, which I highly recommend, because they're mechanically correct. They're both projectors, Amy and John. They live in Austin. They're amazing. Anyway, they interviewed this 85-year-old reflector, Darmeen, who's in human design. He's a 80-year-old Black man or something. He's very unique, and he's been in this for 30 years. He's a reflector, and he talks about going for walks, just going for walks and seeing how you feel that day. What is the energy that day? I mean, you don't have to do the walk, but that can allow you to sort of hone in on, okay, it's just me walking. How am I feeling today? And seeing where the transits are, especially the sun. That's the biggest one for me. That's the greatest place to start. Just, where's the sun? Everyone on the planet is experiencing this right now. And then looking at the headlines, looking at the posts on social media and the memes, and what do you see? So yeah, that's how I like to experiment with looking at the transits and things.
I'm just kind of chatting in case anybody else
Oh,
has
good.
questions. Sure, you guys get your Alicia time. I mean, this is really cool.
Thanks for putting that episode in there. That's great.
I'm on it.
On it, baby.
Let me externalize some info.
See, it's practical. Great. You got to universalize it for everyone.
Yeah, you can listen to it at your own free time.
Great.
Well, I also just want to tell you guys, little housekeeping. We've got the next one with Leisha is partnership charts. And so we're still honoring the first Thursday at noon live. It'll be recorded and sent out. And so she's going to look at partnership charts because February. And I'm really excited to learn more there. And then we've got Victoria is our guest teacher for February 7th for our psychic development. So I got off of our call, we called it a dream storm, that we were collaborating to try to figure out what about dreaming helps you in psychic development. And she's been studying dreams for 30 years. She's really, I was like, do you have any books you recommend? And she texted me a library. So she's very knowledgeable. She uses science. It's going to be less woo-woo and more sciencey about dreaming and psychic development and the different kind of dreams that we have. There's 4 or 5, right? So if you have a dream that you want to analyze or you want to learn about that connection between dreaming and the psychic world, February 7th at 6. And we're just trying to do it so that you get a 12 o'clock and a 6 o'clock so that everybody gets fair. Beth, you were confused because you thought it was relationships today and you're like, what are these people talking about? And will they get to the point? That's hilarious. Oh my gosh, Kendra, you did too. Did I send something out wrong? I wonder if it was me. Hilarious. No, okay.
No.
Me. No. That's funny.
Your third line, it's fine. You can't mess up.
No, today we were trying to focus just on the mechanics of the new year and not to hate on the Gregorian calendar, but just how it's cool that it matches up with the astrology. I never have felt like New Year's was New Year's. I mean, ever. Even in February, I'm like, ugh. And then even in March, I'm like, it's not until we get out of South by that I'm like, okay, we're in new energy. So this is helpful to me, and it's also helpful for, I serve a lot of people that go through really hard times during the holidays, and all of this makes sense, right? You can look at it from a recovery perspective, you can look at it from a family trauma perspective, but it really does line up with HD, and you can say, look, this too is going to pass. Camden, you're saying that January's always been rough. Yeah, and now there's one reason why, right? Because it's not January. It's like December 0.2. It's,
Exactly.
Oh my God, your birthday is January 22nd. That's
the day
awesome.
of the Rave New Year, Kendra, and she's crossed the unexpected, of course. She's always felt
That's
energized,
amazing.
right? Because that's like your whole vibe is like, let's start some shit. Start a new cycle.
January
So
is
I
a
live in
month.
it.
Yes, a month of Mondays, basically.
It's a month of Mondays. That's funny.
Yeah, or a month of Sundays. Like, just let it be, Okay, so tell us what we're going to learn, a little bit of sneak peek into partnerships, and we'll wrap up.
Well, I think I may be a little confused, but did we do partnership in December or no? What did we do in December? No, we did. Yeah. Well, I don't know, but if we're doing partnership again or for the first time,
I thought we were
Tiffany and I will
sneak peeking.
investigate.
I thought we sneak peeked in December, and we're going to do round 2 in February, but we can change it up.
Okay, good. Okay. Well, we'll yeah, I mean, it's really just looking at kind of similarities and differences. There is definitely like part 2, 3, 5, like we can do a million parts of partnership because there's so many things to look at. But yeah, we'll just look at, the connection chart, which is you have your chart, you have another chart, and then there's a third chart, which is the relationship or the connection, or I mean, this counts for pets, this counts for kids, parents, sisters, brothers, partners, whatever, friends.
Sorry, it's a total nice on-ramping into March, because we're going to talk about parenting in HD. And so if you don't have kids, it would be more like your relationship with your parents, how you were parented. If you do have kids, it can be how you can parent. So I think this relationship class is a nice on-ramping to parenting in March. And then in April, we're going to talk about plants and animals and insects in HD. They have a whole different thing. One thing we talked about was doing the dream rave chart in February that was corresponding with the dream workshop, and I think we decided not to. But well, the plants.
Tiffany and I are both third line, so I will say we could be wrong at any point. I could definitely many times over be wrong. So I guess we'll let you know what's up next.
Yeah, or if you have feedback, let us know.
Yeah. What you'd like to see, kind of thing. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Leisha and Wise Skies family. I love you guys so much. I'm so happy to see your faces from all over the world. It's so cool. And we'll hope to see you again soon, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Love you. Bye.
Enjoy the rest of your actual 2022 cycle. Enjoy the end of your cycle.
Aw.
You lovelies, that's cute.
There, stop recording.